Hi, my name is Karen Holmes. I'm the founder and director of the World Peace Organization for the One World Government. Donald Trump and today I wanted to talk about Donald Trump and Joe Biden. Okay? But not from the way you think I'm going to. I'm going to talk about the rise of authoritarianism and the battle that's going on between people like Joe Biden and Donald Trump, and the idea of turning over the election, things like that. The rise of authoritarianism is all over the world. It's like it's a part of the schism that has occurred. What we have is this is the battles of Armageddon, and we have when somebody stands on the principles. It affects the security and support of somebody else. The one who stands on the principles goes up in power, and the one who goes down into the power games goes down in power because the games don't work. Okay, so today I wanted to talk about the rise of authoritarianism, but I wanted to talk about like Donald Trump and Joe Biden and this little battle that's going on. The Republican Party is enabling Donald Trump, has been enabling Donald Trump to rise in power and to maintain power. And there's a chance that with this impeachment trial that's coming up, that there's going to be a problem. Okay, that Trump will not be held accountable for things that he's done, even high crimes and misdemeanors, because of the power that the Republican Party maintains because of the power base. You think of Joe Biden and coming in and he's going to do these things and he has the power to unravel the mess that Donald Trump made. But the Republicans don't think of it as being a mess. They consider it as being good. Okay, so it's kind of like the Republicans have gone down in power and they keep grabbing for power all the time. Okay, now let's step back from it and figure out how the spiritual hierarchy and how my plans, my guides, God, I'm going to say that God doesn't consider anyone to be higher than the other. We're all the same in God's eyes. We're all part of God's children, so it doesn't really matter to God. But yet God would like to see people fulfill their purpose in life. So the people who are working for the principle based on the principles of enabling everybody to get their life, God is kind of like in agreement with those people, but not in agreement with the people who are breaking universal law. So there's like a continuum of people where God is working, enabling some, and it looks like God is not working with these people, but these people are just, the people who have gone down in power just keep losing power because of the power games they're playing. And it's the same thing for everybody. If you're playing a power game of being an alcoholic or a drug user or a murderer or somebody like that, you keep facing the backlashes from that. But if you're standing on the principles of the law, standing on the principles of going with the flow instead of against it, then you rise in power. So it's not God sees everybody as equal because everybody plays the games. But then at the same time, we're all God's children and all have the capacity to create what we want. Okay, now, so let's say God doesn't love anybody more than anybody else. It's just that, like any children, if they're not standing on the principles of being a fine, upstanding member of society, so to speak, and I'm using that sarcastically, okay, then you just keep messing your own life up. Okay. So then after you finally figured it out that you can't get your life by messing things up, like putting yourself on a battlefield and you're about to get shot, it's kind of like you're going to have to rethink things. That's what the idea of repent is to rethink where you are. If what you're doing isn't working, then change it. And that doesn't, so you always have three choices. Our power packet information, our getting out of the abyss classes, help people understand what their choices are to enable them to get up, okay, to a higher level rather than to go down. It shows you the consequences of your actions. Okay, But now, let's say what would, if the chance to go up is based on this idea of going with the flow and doing everything right and finding heaven on earth. Let's say those choices are heaven, hell, or purgatory. Heaven is to go with the flow, stand on the principles, do what's in everyone's best interest. That's kind of like the President of the United States is looking at everybody and saying, we're all Americans, we're creating a sense of unity. Okay, the down is to do what only is in your best interest, and there are 25% of the population is that way. But then straight ahead is to ignore the crisis and go like this, go down eventually, because what you're doing isn't working either. It's not standing on the root cause of the problems. So let's say we have God's plan that benefits everyone. And now I'm not putting anybody into category. Everybody puts themselves into category. So let's say Donald Trump is going down into the games. He's starting insurrection, things like that, which gets impeached twice. In the first president get impeached twice. And then we have Joe Biden. And I don't know yet if Joe Biden is going to be part of the plan for world peace and is open to it, or he's just going to continue on, let's say, listening to the science, but the science doesn't know the answers to it, okay, with the existing structure. Okay, eventually that will fail also. Okay, now, how do you think God would solve this problem of the rise of authoritarianism? Because it's happening all over the world. The same thing. You have the people stand on the principles, and every time they do, then the people who are affected by it go down into the power games, like the Republicans. When the plan for world peace was first introduced in 2011, Barack Obama was going, "Oh, thank you, God. We have a solution. I have a solution to the problems." He could see that there was a solution to the problems, but the Republicans couldn't see it, so they tried to stop the plan. And that's the same thing all over the world. All the governments are pretty much going through the same thing. How do I know that? Because my group, my 200 people are parallel to the 200 independent members, are parallel to the 200 countries. So I know that some people really like the idea and some people don't like the idea. And they're fighting for it. They're making life hell for everybody else. Okay, now, how God solves this problem is that there's no trickle-down idea. It's a trickle-up idea. So there's two different ways to join my organization of the independent members. Okay, we're the first 200 people. We become the teachers. When 200 people come together, then world peace comes. But I have to solve the problems for each of these families. Okay, the proposal solves the problem for each of these families, and then they go on and they become advisors to that government. Okay, so what had happened is, instead of the people have been oppressed by the power games the governments have been playing, the games are oppressive to the people. The power is derived from the people, from every government. So let's say that instead of a trickle-down idea where the governments are playing these games of, let's say, one-upmanship and diplomacy or waging war, acts of aggression, not waging war as a defensive thing, but acts of aggression. What happens is it's a trickle-up idea. And the people, when the people are ready to stand in protest, then what happens is the plan for world peace can come that way. So it can either be a trickle-down idea when the government says, this is a really good idea. And then they can invite the people in. They work with the people. Or it can be a trickle-up idea where the people get so fed up with the oppression of the government that they demand that the government make the change, and that's when it is. So in effect, what happens is, let's say in a family situation, you have, and it could be either the father or the mother, but I'll use the father idea, because the father pegs the family at a certain level, socioeconomic. It's 10 minutes after 6 in the morning, sociologically, and then pegs the family there. And then the child is automatically, so let's say the father comes in, says he likes the idea of the plan for the international government. That allows the children to come in, and then they can invite the other parent in. Okay, so which parent do you think the children would choose? Would they choose, and it's up in the air, okay, to choose the father who's standing on the principles of that doing what's best for the family, or the mother who is going down into the games? The father standing on the principles and the mother going down into the power games. The reason I use that is because one of our power packet talks about, or it's actually the planning packet, talks about how women wage war. So the women wage war. We'll go into that in other videos. Okay, right now we're talking about this opportunity, this V-shaped idea, where, okay, so let's say that Donald Trump, let's say that Barack Obama saw the potential and started with the idea of the JCPOA, invited Cuba to come in, Iran, he opened up the door to Iran, then opened the door to Cuba, and then invited Kim Jong-un to come in. Okay, but that was, so then what happened was, the problem that he did was when he did it, let's say Ahmadinejad was kicked out, and then he was negotiating with the authoritarian. Okay, then when he went into Cuba, it was Fidel Castro who stood on the principles, and Raul Castro pushed him out. Then what happened was Kim Jong-un, Kim Jong-un's father, knew about it, but he waited, and then he was willing to talk. That's what it was. He was willing to talk, and then the Republicans pushed out Obama. So let's say there's this rise of authoritarianism that's causing problems. Okay, now, so it's this V-shaped idea. The children can invite one parent or the other. So now what we have is an interesting situation, because my family is already welcome to participate in this. I'm already agreed to the plan. So my kids are welcome to come, and then they can invite their parent, okay, the other parent. The only problem with it is that the people who are trying to stop this idea in the organization, like the people who are jockeying for power, they are trying to interfere in the families. They're coming in, interfering in the families. Now, the last thing is this. Okay, each one of them is considered welcome to participate because they're parallel to a country. But let's say that you take President Saleh of Yemen, who decides that he's going to become the leader of the world. There's no leader of the world anymore. There is no, it's a flat hierarchy. All the countries are sovereign and all the countries are equal. There is no jockeying for power. Jockeying for power doesn't make sense anymore on the international level. So let's say we have three choices. There are the people who are agreed to the plan for the international government, doing what's in everybody's best interest, solving problems like disputes between nations in court rather than the battlefield, and the money's going to the people instead. Why do we have to have a $750 billion national defense when we can just send the JAG officers to battle it out in court? Okay, and the rest of us, we're oblivious to that. We don't care about that. Why would any average American care about a dispute when it can be played out in court? We would rather see all the money that's wasted on war be used for infrastructure, or, helping start businesses, or for social programs that benefit everybody, or whatever. Stimulate the economy. Why let it drain away on something that's totally unnecessary? Okay, what about Donald Trump? if he's got hundreds and hundreds of court cases all the time, that's a terrible drain on his economy, so to speak, if he was a country. And he was partly kind of a country. So then the same thing is with, how about Joe Biden? Okay, we have to listen. I have to defend the country. Okay, what's the best way for him to defend the country? Join the international government. Go up. But what's the best way for Donald Trump to do it? To start the insurrection? No. To do what's in everyone's best interest. It's always to get out of your crisis. How about Donald Trump being impeached for the second time? Wouldn't you say that instead of just facing all those backlashes, to go up? Okay, so that's where it is that our organization, it's not up to me and my organization. See, my organization is made up of sets up a framework for lots of different groups to function in. I'm not the boss of the organization. I'm the principal of the organization. I'm the director, but then I turn responsibility over to other people. But who are those people who are going to do it? The people who are waging war on me? And they're going to extort the plan for me? Nobody can do somebody else's project. Nobody can be. So let's say the person who's parallel to President Saleh comes in and says, I'm now the head of the organization, and I'm going to take it over, and I'm going to tell you what to do. That's in nobody's best interest. And not only that, the people are not going to invite that leader in until that person stops playing the games. They're going to say enough is enough. So that's where we are as a world right now. We say God, working with my guides. Seth is part of a 12-pointed star, and they are people who helped to create the planet. They've been working on this for 1 billion years, so to speak. That's how long the Earth is making its ascension from the 3rd dimension to the 4th dimension. So we are helping. We're all helping. Everybody who's on the planet now is helping the planet make its ascension to from the 3rd dimension to the 4th dimension, and then to the 5th dimension. It's a paradigm shift that we're all facing. So if you're parallel to a country, and you're a world leader who's gone down into power, or you function for your own interests, you're just going to keep facing the backlashes all the time, like being impeached twice. But it doesn't work. Anyway, that's all I wanted to talk about today, and I ask you to like, share, and subscribe. If this rise of authoritarianism is really getting you down like it has everybody else, except for the people who have decided that they're going to get rid of the plan to go up. Let's get rid of heaven, and we're just going to flip hell to make it look like hell is the way to go. Isn't that kind of what Donald Trump did? Make life hell for everybody else by doing this insurrection. And so that's where we are right now. Revenge doesn't work. It just doesn't work. So like, share, and subscribe, because we want heaven on earth. We want our government to do what's in everyone's best interest and treat everybody fairly and equally. Black Lives Matter and all these different programs, they're really not necessary anymore. I hate to say that. I don't mean that in a way that says it's not working. It has been working. But a point comes when it isn't necessary anymore. And then to keep on forcing it to happen, it just makes resistance. It's almost like time to let go of the battle and realize we're all equal anyway. God created us all equal. The Constitution, our founding fathers said we're equal. They weren't able to apply that information, though, until things evolved out of the power games. Okay. So anyway, like, share, and subscribe, and talk about how the rise of authoritarianism is not in anyone's best interest. Okay? And like, share, and subscribe. Thank you.